Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. The Curse of Oak Island treasure hunt faces being shut down after alarming news in Episode 3. The entire treasure hunting operation behind the Curse of Oak Island faces being shut down after alarming news comes to light in Episode 3 of the current season. It has been revealed. The revelation emerged in a new description for the episode, released by the History Channel. It also disclosed how during the episode Rick and Marty Lagina and the team find hard evidence of Europeans being present on Oak Island more than 100 years before the money pit was discovered. However, their excitement at the evidence is quickly reversed when the alarming news is revealed. The full description for the episode reads: The revelation comes before the second episode of The Curse of Oak Island Season 5 airs this week, which we know sees the team investigate a treasure chest from the 1700s and Rick and Marty receive stunning news about a find from the money pit, likely linked to one of the discoveries from the premiere, either the spike or the coin. It is not known what the alarming news in Episode 3 relates to. However, judging by the promo clips released for the season ahead so far, it's possible that it could be linked to tunnels which Rick Lagina is seen exploring in the trailers, or perhaps one of the discoveries made, including the spike from Episode 1 or a fragment of bone that is found, or the accident which takes place during the season. It's obviously also possible that the news could relate to something altogether different. It's almost certain that the operation doesn't get shut down, as they were still filming just weeks ago. However, the fact it is alarming does point to it being something serious, either a discovery or some sort of event that takes place. It's also not yet known what the hard evidence is that the team find which shows Europeans were definitely on Oak Island more than a century before the discovery of the money pit. But to prove it has European origins, it would likely have to be something that can easily be identified as being made overseas, possibly a coin or a button or other metal object. We told this week how The Curse of Oak Island Season 5 was watched by a record number of viewers. Official figures showed 2.95 million people tuned in to watch Episode 1, an increase of 330,000 on the 2.62 million who watched the Season 4 opener. It's likely that that figure will increase for later episodes in the season, as viewer numbers generally increase as seasons progress. The Season 4 finale last year, the show's most watched episode since it started, saw 3.79 million people tune in to watch it live. The total number of people who watch the show is actually higher than the above figures, as they do not include people who watch the show on demand. As the dawn broke over Oak Island, a creeping sense of unease filled the usually bustling dig site. Episode 3 of The Curse of Oak Island opened with the Lagina brothers, Rick and Marty, pacing the shoreline, their usual optimism clouded by the tension gripping their team. Over the past seasons, the treasure hunt had grown in complexity, stretching beyond mere curiosity and into a full-fledged obsession. But this time, something was different, something far more ominous. The episode began with a cryptic message relayed to the brothers via phone call. Jack Begley, their dedicated researcher and on-site manager, answered with his usual casual tone, but soon his expression darkened. His words, strained and measured, echoed through the room as the camera zoomed in on his face. "I think you need to come down to the site. There's something you need to see." The Laginas, along with the rest of the crew, Gary Drayton, Alex Lagina, and Doug Crowell, gathered near the money pit. This area, which had become synonymous with mystery and frustration, now carried a heavier air than usual. Marty, ever the pragmatist, scanned the surroundings with suspicion. "What have we got here?" he asked, his voice betraying a trace of worry. "Remember that new borehole we drilled last week?" Jack began. "We hit something unexpected, something that wasn't supposed to be down there." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Over the years they'd encountered everything from strange artifacts to ancient timbers, but something about Jack's tone told them this was different. As they descended into the depths of the pit, a cold draft swept through the underground chamber, almost as if the island itself was warning them away. The camera followed closely, capturing the tight expressions on the faces of the treasure hunters. After hours of excavation, they arrived at a narrow passageway, newly revealed by their drilling efforts. This passage hadn't shown up on any previous maps or scans. The air was thick with suspense as they shined their flashlights into the void, and then they saw it. A sealed chamber, untouched for what seemed like centuries. But what truly unsettled them wasn't the chamber itself, but the ancient symbols etched into its stone walls. Alex, the team's history buff, knelt down to get a closer look, his face blanched. These markings aren't from any culture we've encountered here before, he stammered. This is much older. Before anyone could react, a sudden rumbling echoed through the tunnel. Dust fell from the ceiling, and the walls trembled as if the island was shifting beneath them. We need to get out of here, now. Rick shouted, his usual calm demeanor shattered by the urgency in his voice. The crew scrambled to the surface just as a deep, resounding crack echoed from below. The ground underfoot shook violently, and within moments, a large section of the pit collapsed inward, sealing the passageway they had just emerged from. Silence fell over the site, punctuated only by the crew's heavy breathing. "What the hell was that?" Gary muttered, still clutching his metal detector as if it could somehow offer protection against the forces of nature. "That wasn't a normal cave-in," Rick said, his eyes narrowing. "The island, it's trying to keep something hidden." The next day, the team gathered in the war room to assess the situation. They replayed footage from the dig, analyzing the markings on the stone chamber. Doug Kroll pulled up references from historical documents and ancient texts, but nothing matched the symbols they had discovered. It was as if they had stumbled upon something far beyond the scope of their treasure hunt. Just as they were about to regroup and consider their next steps, another phone call interrupted the conversation. This time it was from a government official, someone who had been keeping a close watch on the dig's progress. "We've received alarming news," the voice on the other end said flatly. "You need to halt your operations immediately." Marty bristled at the notion of shutting down after all they'd been through. "On what grounds?" he demanded. The official hesitated for a moment before responding. "The symbols you've uncovered, they match a set of ancient warnings tied to the island. There's evidence suggesting that Oak Island is not just a site of buried treasure. It may be a protected site, tied to a greater historical secret. We're concerned for your safety and the integrity of the site itself." Rick exchanged a look with Marty. They had faced countless obstacles over the years, cave-ins, mechanical failures, financial difficulties, but never something like this. The very idea of the island being off-limits due to an ancient warning system seemed far-fetched, yet the weight of the official's words couldn't be ignored. "Protected by who?" Marty asked, skeptically. "This treasure hunt has gone on for over 2 centuries. If there's something dangerous here, why hasn't it come to light before?" The official sighed. "That's just it, we don't know. But whatever you've uncovered, it's bigger than any treasure hunt. We'll be sending a team to the island. In the meantime, all operations must cease." The room fell silent. Rick, staring at the island map pinned to the wall, clenched his fists. They were so close. Could this really be the end? Could they walk away from Oak Island with more questions than answers, with the treasure still hidden beneath its cursed soil? As the episode drew to a close, the haunting image of the collapsed money pit lingered on the screen. The camera panned out over the island, now shrouded in an unsettling quiet. The Laginas and their team were left to ponder the ominous warnings that had come to light. What had they really uncovered? Was it treasure or something far more dangerous? The closing shot left fans on the edge of their seats, wondering whether the treasure hunt, which had spanned centuries and captivated millions, would now face its greatest adversary yet, the island itself.